All right, yay, we're recording. Thank you for being here for Heaven on Earth. You have the herd right around here. So right behind me is Midnight. This little big mouth is Winter coming down on camera here. And this is Sweetness, the mini donkey. And then behind me, you can see some of them as well, which I'll introduce you to in a second. So I'm gonna ask them to give me some space. There we go. You might need to give me some space too. So today's topic is on transitions. And at first I was like, is that really the topic? Because I feel like we've done one of these on change, but the horses really and the animals want to share about transitions and the way that they process transitions. And a different type of meditation came in, something that's a little bit more active than normal, but with some more stillness and silence as well. So we're gonna do the meditation first, then the wisdom share, a journal prompt, and if we have time, we'll go sit with the goats just to end. They are going through a major transition. We had 4 or 5 goats leave the other day, and we have 5 goats leaving today. So that's, I think, the other reason. This ranch is in a lot of transition. And we also have new goats coming this week. And so I figured, all right, let's talk about transition. And this is actually, transition is one of the biggest things I coach on. All my clients who go through different phases and processes in their life, whether they're changing jobs, looking to move from corporate to entrepreneur, looking to have some skills around relationship transition, breakups, divorces, that sort of thing. So I guess what we're doing today is both what I'm most used to coach on, which is transitions, and what this farm and these animals are going through right now as well. And I love how still and quiet Nate is being with us right here. So just want you guys to get that. Tune in. Oh, the fly's on him. Give me 1 second, because he's doing his black stallion thing. So when the fly gets on them, there's some sort of bug critter here that's literally about this big, and it lands on them, and they just kick out, which is totally fine. I just don't want to be within kicking distance, as you can all imagine. So I have to move and adjust as these things happen. Transition. So we are going to move into this space, and people might join us, and I'm glad we have a nice group here, nice small group, intimate group. So let's begin. And part of what I'm going to ask you to do on this transitions piece is actually start to work with transitioning your body if you're able to. So standing up first. So if you're seated, just go ahead and stand up. And just notice for a second how your body feels just standing. And then wiggle your toes inside of your shoes and drop into your feet. Maybe see if one leg is more tight than the other. And now take a moment and just kind of balance on one leg, maybe the left leg, and notice that transition. Horses are going to help us. And now move and balance on the other leg. Oh, thank you. He brought over the water, so we have a little baptism energy going on here. Oh, thanks. You're making sure that it's all getting washed. So that's even a transition. I had no water on me, and now I have a lot of water from Winter. So noticing even what it feels like dropping in and noticing your temperature right now. Do you feel cold? Do you feel hot? Do you feel okay? That's my shirt. And then noticing as he's showing right now what it might take to draw a boundary in a transition. Saying, nope, you're not allowed to have my shirt. So he's looking for carrots, and I've let him know there's none left. So now trying this, putting your hands up and seeing how that feels. And now maybe putting your hands down and seeing how that feels. So these are all micro transitions, and you're not allowed to do that. So I may even ask him to give me more space, allowing myself to draw the boundaries I need in a transition. With Sweetness here doing some grounding for all of us. So since these guys are here to really support this, you've got little and big, literally the smallest and the biggest horse. See if you can kind of put your hands out. Close your eyes for a moment and feel like you're touching, one hand's touching a donkey and one hand is touching a huge horse. And just notice the difference. Notice what it feels like to touch something smaller than you, lower, and then touching something much bigger than you, much taller, much stronger. And seeing if you can connect between the small energy of you and the big energy of you. And take a deep breath. Maybe noticing that there's the younger version of you, which is now transitioned into the current you, person standing, and then maybe the future, even bigger from the perspective of having expanded and grown, the bigger version of you. So connecting these energies through your current self. And breathe. Winter's sending all of you his breath, so just receive the horse breath. Picture the breath next to yours. Receiving. So part of what Winter is like working on or clearing off or speaking about right now is clearing control through transitions. So what's coming in is this like stomach energy right now. So how do we stay centered, right, in our willpower, in our guts, and not have the control, right? You never controlled moving from age 6 to age 7. You never controlled moving from age 10 to age 20. It happened. Take a deep breath on the natural cycle of transition. And now maybe tune in to your current self, maybe your hands on your heart and your hands on your stomach. Just sending the breath to these areas. If there's tightness anywhere, just send the breath there and let that tightness go down through your feet, compost into the earth. And so as you're tuned into your current self, see if you can tune into, do you need more time right now with the younger, smaller self, or the bigger future self? Maybe asking yourself that question, tuning in and hearing an answer. So what Sweetness is asking, as Winter does some backbone work for all of us, Sweetness is asking us to bring our younger selves, our inner children, with us through transitions. Meaning bringing that joy, that playfulness, that curiosity, that wonder of the kid, that kind of purity into a transition. Sweetness is right here. For those of you that can see him or want to see him more, he's right here. And then what Winter is inviting us to do is tuning into your future self now that has some awareness about where you are right now. Gentle. Gentle. And seeing what your future self might be contributing to you. About where you're headed, what's possible, even just 6 months from now. You know, the end of the year, the end of a really, really, really big year. Maybe invite in Winter's wisdom and just see if you want to ask your future self a question. Maybe, how did it go? How did these 6 months go? What would you have me know now? Gentle. So part of what he's sharing is that boundaries are going to be really needed. He does not usually bite my shirt, and he didn't even want to let go. So there's a lot of like, don't let this year, the rest of this year, kind of take your shirt, right? And I had to even get a little bit bigger and use my hand as though it would be a horse's nose, another horse's nose, which is how they would speak to each other. But let's come into a place where if we were not in control, but we were in flow, what would it look like for the next 6 months? Bridging the younger, the older versions of ourselves, the smaller version, the bigger version. So Winter's inviting us to get even more grounded through that process. So take a seat now and see if you can kind of pop in to what it feels like to have yourself seated now. Notice the difference. There's less pressure on your body to stand, right? Even standing takes some effort. So seeing what just sitting down feels like. And then if you can, see if you can lay down. Give me 1 second here. There we go. If you can lay down, notice what the difference is in even laying back and how what that does to your body, what sort of rest and relaxation comes from fully laying back. Try that transition. So in many ways, it feels like the steep surrender pose. For those of us who need more sleep, this is Winter's encouragement that we actually start to feel more grounded as we rest more. that it's a natural process that the body goes through as it rests, that it learns to get more grounded. And I just really got a little bigger with my energy and asked Winter to give me more space, which he did beautifully. So as we practice setting boundaries through these transitions, what might that look like for you? Maybe take a moment, connect into your wisdom, and see what boundaries you need to set. What do you need to say no to right now? What do you need more space from? Nice. Gentle. So Winter just sort of slowly and gently moved his head up my body on the right side as a way of just kind of honoring that side, the masculine, the side that is the doing side. But it was slow and intentional. And so that's a nice way of bridging things. If maybe the old version of us was fast and non-intentional, just did things, there's a real opportunity to come into slower and intentional through transitions. And just breathing and picturing yourself out here in nature, the sun, the horses. So Winter just did a bit of collective healing. You get a lot more there. Blowing out quite a bit around the energy that we can all feel around control. Because we feel sometimes more safe if we feel in control, and yet there are transitions that are just going to be somewhat outside of our control. So I'm going to give him a second to just see what else he needs to do here. Back up. So this is the baggage that he's telling us that we need to let go of. So what does that look like for you? Let's picture right now some collective baggage. I want you to just take stuff that's been bothering you, stuff that's been, we're in multiple transitions right now. So as you take the stuff that's bugging you, whether it's your own response or reaction to things like anger, frustration, sadness, whatever, that is ready to get cleared. And maybe there's other baggage that you want. Let's collectively put racism in the baggage. Let's put all of that energy that we don't want into just a big black plastic bag. Picture that in your home, picture that plastic bag, and just picture yourself just kind of energetically putting stuff in there. Oh, good job. He's yawning like crazy right now. So there's a lot of energy getting cleared immediately. So once you do that, I want you to picture tying up the bag. Winter's clearing. And I know you're going to help them. I know. And just now taking that bag that is tied up, and picture yourself just taking it and holding it up and throwing it up and letting hands much bigger than your own, maybe hooves, pick that bag up, bring it up far into the cosmos and transmute it into the nothingness from which it came. Lifting the energetic heaviness. So anything and everything that was in that bag, we'd like to uncreate and destroy. All right, Winter, good job. Good job. More space? More space? Thank you. Thank you guys for being patient with the camera things here. There's a lot of movement today with all these guys. So you may feel an energetic lightness. That is something that I feel dedicated to in my coaching and healing work, is the energetic lightness that can come when we start to remove things we no longer need. And you have a really beautiful kind of connected herd back here now. You can kind of see. So horses have often said to me, if I've gotten into anger or frustration or other pieces, and the goats have said this too, they've said, do what feels natural, right? So it's not necessarily natural. Woo! And that was some big energy around that. Give me more space, please. More space, thank you. So he was really asking us to step into bigger boundaries. For those of you that want practice with boundaries, you are seeing it live right now. But to step into, I forgot what I was even just saying. There was something big in that, because he literally tried to put his whole foot up on the table here. But doing what's natural, like it's not always natural to be in judgment, right? Maybe it's natural for the ego, but how do we move out of that space? How do we transition out of ego into a different energetic, which would often be acceptance or love or compassion? Well, let's take a moment, because you've been hearing me speak and you've been hearing action and movement and seeing a lot on camera. And let's try a transition into just pure stillness, pure silence. Because this is actually what the horses will ask us to get to as really the most powerful place in any process, especially when we're going through something that can feel heavy or disheartening. They will say there's power in the silence and the stillness and the pause. Those of you who follow me on social media know I'm in a pause, and it's for that exact reason, because that's what the horses would ask me to do, is to get quiet and still and see what needs to emerge this time. So let's try that energy as a transition. Just sit here, take a moment to be fully still and fully silent. And so you may have noticed the Sweetness was doing a little weave, getting his chest rubbed up against the chair here. And it was a reminder of how do we stay still and silent, even if there's movement right in front of our window, right next door, right in our space, in our house. How do we still stay still and silent, even for just a minute? And being totally okay if you hear your own thoughts or there's processes that come forward for you in that, but just returning to the breath and just having the commitment to silence and stillness as a process that is a transition out of the busyness of the day, of the mind, that's always there for you. And because you can see Winter's big behind here on camera and Sweetness is right here, there's still that element of getting grounded. So for those of you who haven't fully dropped into the session yet, or you have, but there's an extra layer of deepening into grounding and presence, the horses want to offer that right now. So let's just take another moment and allow the lower half of your body to feel heavy and rooting down some tree trunks out of your sit bones and your feet all the way into the earth. Taking a couple deep conscious breaths together. Breathing in peace, breathing out love. All right, nice work. So I'm going to move into a little bit of the wisdom share as Sweetness is still, and I'm going to give you a little bit more of the horses here. So hopefully those of you feel a reset, a reboot. We are in an interesting time, as we all know. In particular, in June, right now, 3 eclipses, till, Independence Day, and Mercury in retrograde. Looks like Midnight wants to talk about astrology. Do you have some wisdom to share, my friend? So maybe you guys have a message from him, but looking right in the camera at you guys. Boy. There you go. So I feel like some of you are getting a message or transmission from him. That's kind of what he's here for right now. Good job. Sorry, this is moving. Sweetness likes to itch his butt. No more Sweetness. It's funny, as much as I want to share, it's like I would want him to share right now. So let's see what he's got. So he's talking about connection. How do we stay connected to ourselves during transition times? Whatever you guys are thinking or feeling is accurate, because he keeps licking and chewing and saying that's it. Yes. He's trying to get the camera back on himself here. Okay. Sweetness. So part of what's coming in is there's other considerations right now. Ultimately, connection is what we're all striving for. You know, I don't think there's any accident right now that the black horse is standing with us, representing quite a bit. So what he would say is it's not about thoughts right now. Like our thoughts are one tiny little piece of who we are, but it's really about ways of being. So what we think about situations is one tiny little piece of who we are. And he's asking us to form a deeper connection with ourselves so that way we can feel connected with others. In Linda Kahanov's work, Tao of Equus, with the horses, the black horse represents the shadow. That's her philosophy. I've seen it. He's the first black horse I've ever gotten to work with in the hundreds of horses I've worked with. So I'm super grateful to have him. He teaches so much. And connection even with the shadow and connection with ourselves first and foremost, as we love ourselves fully, we can easily connect with others. We don't need to fear any level of connection. We don't need to fear intimacy. You guys may feel what he's doing to your heart. He just gave me a huge burst of it. I'm like gonna cry. So just tune in. Deep breaths. He says that humanity is going through a massive clearing right now because there was a lot of stuff stuck that needed to get dissolved or disrupted or displaced so that connection was all that's left. In my master's program, they teach anger comes over sadness is a feeling, and then under sadness is love. So it's imperative that we move through these layers, and that's the transition. There's a lot of people in anger right now, but they will move into sadness and grief if they go through the transition. And we're going through collective grieving and loss, which is, you know, there's supposedly different stages of grief, and each one's its own transition. And so ultimately our goal, what we're getting towards, is love, unconditional love, which is you don't have to do or be anything to just get this. I mean, like, yes, I had carrots before. He's not begging me for one the way Winter was before. He's not trying to use the table to scratch himself. He's 100% here for you guys and me right now. That's it. Unconditional love in real time. Good boy, buddy. Whew, there's a lot there. So see if you can allow your heart to just be blasted open right now. Picture midnight standing over your back. What does it feel like to have unconditional love at your back? It's there every day. We just get to tune into it. Thank you. And it's like, you're doing good. I love it when they give me compliments. Sweetness, not right now, sweetie. Thank you. So that transition that I just had to do from setting a boundary to just ask him to give some space because he's disrupting the camera and disrupting, even though he wants to scratch on this, he doesn't have to do it right now. So he's out eating grass so we can be with this. I'm here. It's been said that horses balance the right and left hemisphere of the brain. Last week was on balance. Feels like he's doing some of that work. So he's pulling stuff in from the collective that, regardless what we believe or think or how we feel right now, what he's saying is that, you know, like there's 6 horses here and 6 equines, but he's taking front center, front stage. And he's saying that's what this whole movement, that's what Black Lives Matters movement is they're taking, on cue, they're taking, their voices are matter right now. They need to be front and center. He needs to be front and center in this video. That's just the way it is at the moment. And, you know, like there's no thoughts about that. There's no right or wrong about that. It's just what is. Because collectively we're in a heart awakening process. It just doesn't look like that sometimes. So maybe picture the wind washing over you. Just maybe collecting some of your thoughts so you can get into the way of being instead of just the thinking. Part of what is coming in is one of the lessons in transition. You know, we think of transitions sometimes as long things, right? Transition after divorce, transition to a new job. It's take months, not years. What he's asking me for, and I understand now why they asked me to do that meditation that I've never done before. They're saying micro transitions. How do we go from being upset to being at peace very quickly? How can we do that? How can we go from being angry to knowing that we're actually sad to knowing that we're nothing but made of love? The Morning Dove just joined us on that point. She's right there. So see, maybe right now, as we move into journaling here in a minute, just sit with what's one micro transition you'd like to make just with more grace, ease, and speed. I know for me, it's being up here to being in my heart, or even just in my feet, in my body. And how can we shift that? How do we shift quickly? What he's suggesting is that we touch that part of our body that we want to come into. So if you need to be in your heart, that it's in a quick little touch of the heart. So reminder, the source could be anywhere in here. There's acres of pasture, lots of grass. He's fully with all of us right now. We truly need to have each other's backs right now is what's coming in so strongly, just so strongly. However that looks, got an email today about more random acts of kindness. That's having someone's back. That's having a stranger's back. But what he's saying is not in a defiant way, not in a rebel way, not in a you're wrong, I'm right way, but in this, in the like, I choose to stand here in solidarity with you because this is important right now. This conversation, what we're talking about, you guys being here, it's just important. And there's so much like, it's like the quality of, you can see it in my eyes, there's the quality of joy and sadness combined, which is fascinating to me. Like this joy that we're merging into the butterfly and the sadness that we are losing our creepy crawler selves. And then just knowing that we can hold the capacity for both sadness and joy. You don't have to just make it one or the other. It's midnight reminding us to go back to the breath whenever we need it. It's okay with you guys, since he's so present with us, we're probably going to stay here and not pop up to the goats. Although that would be a different transition. The wind's another piece of transition just picked up. So just see if you can take a moment, close your eyes and see if you can really feel midnight. Feeling how your shadow is a support system in its own unique way. And seeing if you can bring love to the parts that you maybe don't like, or the situations that change that you wish didn't change. Let's just bring love and acceptance there. Just so you guys can see, if you were to open your eyes, you have our lead mare right here as well, standing with us. She wanted to be on camera. These two are actually best friends. Female lead mare, older gelding. He's our older guy. He's 26 years old, midnight. Remains 13. And they're really good friends. And they're incredibly different horses. And they're really good friends. She can be bossy, demanding, and a huge heart horse. And he is soft and gentle, and then really demands clear boundaries if you're not in them. And they're both healers. They're both unconditional love, you know, and they have important roles in the herd that are different. Neither one is better than or less than the other. And so part of the work is, how do we see ourselves as equals with horses? Equal to that majesty and that power, and that presence and that unconditional love. Because if we see ourselves as equals, we become more like them. And if we become more like them, we become a more evolved humanity, in my opinion, in my belief system. And this is how we're to spend a lot of time with each other, this quiet, this stillness. This is where they meditate and ride between the worlds. Well, I cannot believe how quickly things went by. And today is the first day where I didn't have a clear topic come forward. And then I pulled into the ranch. I said, well, the horses will have to help me figure out the topic. And then I got transitions, and I was like, well, I think we already did that. We did change, but this was different. Change is different than transitions. Transitions, you know, in the horse world, if you move between a walk, a trot, and a canter, it requires different energies. But the energies they wanted you guys to see today is the energies of stillness, presence, quiet. And I think so many of us feel like if we just do more, we'll get through the transition. You know, the biggest transition we're in right now is many places are reopening. I was just doing yoga at a park this morning and saw how many people were out. And so we're in a new world. And how do we want to be in that new space? It's not normal. It's not even the new normal. It's a new world. And how do we create it together? As Rain would say, make sure you take care of your needs. That's what she did coming up here. She just wiped her eyes on the chair, took care of what her needs were, and is on to do her work in the world. But you guys, I want you to take Midnight with you. I want you to take him with you as a representation of a Black being on Earth and what that means for you right now during this incredibly sensitive time. I want you to take it with you as if you were to trace back your ancestors, the most, you know, at one point we were all Black. That's just something to remember, and I'm fascinated by that. And to just feel what it feels like to stand in solidarity behind a being, behind a group of beings, and to be there for them, to support them. When there's a million other things you could do in the world, but to just stand in this unbelievable, unconditional love and presence. Venus, as you can tell, is still trying to get. There's this little donkey butt for those of you that need to see it. And he's asking me to practice the boundaries again. And I'm doing it, and it feels really good. So for those of you that need that reminder that to have more of this, more quiet, more space, more gentleness, more connection is really what he was talking about. We sometimes have to say no to the stuff that's, you know, shaking it all up, ruffling it all up, making it all like, and that's what, you know, Venus is over here just doing whatever he wants to do. It's okay. And I can say, no, not right now. I don't need that ruffled energy or disruption, because this is really where I need to be. For me right now, and maybe for you guys too. But it's a choice, and neither one's wrong or bad. It's just all choices. So let me see if he has anything else, and then we're gonna wrap, because this is blown by. What else, love? Anything you want to share with everyone? Final words? What he's sharing is to not let things get to us that much. I feel like the world right now is designed to trigger. I don't know about you guys, but I've been in triggered spaces over the last couple weeks. Just so he's asking us, don't let things get to us. I have watched that fly land on him and how he's handled it, and it's landed on him more than anyone else. And he did get stung. He got bit the other day because I saw it. and he is still like, you know, he's moving out of the way of the thing that is going to sting him, because they all have healthy boundaries. But he's asking us to not get too upset about stuff right now, like to not go into our trigger, and to remember that that's an unhealed wound, and healing is the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. So healing is the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. And that's a lot of what he's been doing today, is just giving us healing and loving. So I hope you guys felt that. I would love to, he said, yeah, they felt it. Look at that. Licking and chewing is confirmation. Yes, energy. So exciting. I'm so glad he was with us today. He has not done a full on like this in a while. And I love his energy. So what did you guys think? Oh, thanks, Kim. Beautiful and powerful. Yay. I know, they were all so sweet souls. I'm gonna stop recording, and if anyone wants to share, feel free. Hold on one second.